In this video, we will cover B7 RS4 rear seat storage and cleaning tips. The ideal location for storing these leather seats is on the first or second floor of your house, not in the basement where there's humidity. And find a corner in a spare room. This is the weight room, and there is enough room to still get around and do other things. So a corner that doesn't have a high flow of traffic. I store some cleaned and conditioned Volvo headrests on top of them. This is a good place for soft on soft touch, but I'll remove them for the purposes of this video. So if you have extra headrests, you can use these spaces. So we'll start with the double seat back on that part of the wall there. You want to have the passenger side headrest facing upwards, and the seat belt, you don't need to disconnect it. You can see that I've just put it right on top on the fabric section on the side there. The reason you need to do this orientation is because you have your airbag sensor and a heated seat wire that are here. If you were to flip it around, those would get pinched. So you want to make sure to put it like this. Also push the headrest up just slightly so that the area in between the headrest and the actual seat can get some airflow and they don't get too dry. Although you will be conditioning these once every 3 months. Moving on to the single driver's side seat back, same thing with the headrest, a little bit up, and you want it to be in this position where the wire for the heated seats is pointing upward so it doesn't get pinched underneath. Another important point is the mats that I have underneath. This room is hardwood, but regardless of what surface you have underneath in terms of dirt and grime or whatever that could be there, this helps. But the main point for the pads is that with the leather and the soft structure of everything on the edges, those mats on the floor give some cushioning to the seat so that it does not oddly bend the leather in any way that if it dries out, it could cause cracking. Moving on to the bottom seat rest, you can see how I've rested it on a diagonal here. When there's conditioner on it like there is here, this edge is a little bit too soft. It'll try to roll out on you like this. So put it on that side that has that fabric techie material and it'll grip a little bit better, and it doesn't put too much pressure on the seat underneath. This piece is quite light. I would say about a month and a half in, then you can switch this around and rest it on here when the conditioner is worn down again. And finally, after 3 months when you condition it, you do the same thing, you rotate it. But this could be just overkill. What I'm saying, this position might be fine for the entire duration of your storage. We will look at this more in depth, but the reason I say first or second floor and no humidity in the basement, especially not in a garage, is all of this foam under here, it has odd little pockets and everything. And if anything happens and this stuff starts molding up, it's definitely not something that you want to have to deal with. It almost goes without saying, but you also do not want to cover these seats in any way. You want good airflow with the conditioner that you put on. Leather is best in an open environment. If you put a light plastic cover because of the place you have to store it, that might be fine, but cleaning it regularly and storing it in open air is the best way to go. These seats can obviously be stored in different ways, but from everything that I went through in terms of which materials can take more abuse on the bottom and all the gates underneath and the odd shapes, these are very odd shaped, this turned out to be the best way to orient everything in a place where it doesn't take up too much space in your house. In terms of the side bolsters, you want to store them away from the other leather pieces as they have sharp metal pieces. So once you have them cleaned and conditioned, I have them just on the back of a normal coat rack hanger on a closet door, and they're hanging upside down, and you can see that they're slightly inwards of the door handle so that they don't pinch when the door closes. Along with the metal, there is quite an amount of foam on these, so you also want to keep them in a low humidity place. Here in this Tupperware container is everything that goes with the trunk carpets and the seats in terms of hardware. You can keep it all in here, just keep it in a safe place. Behind the weight rack there is the plastic piece that goes inside of the trunk. So if you've seen the seat removal video, you'll know which piece that is. just clean that one up and store it away so that the brittle plastics don't break if somebody runs into it. You also want to store that piece in that position upright because it has areas like you can see on the far right that can break off if you store them properly and somebody puts pressure on them unexpectedly. Now let's go more in depth on the condition of these seats for a 16-year-old 10-owner RS4. In terms of the side bolsters, there's nothing really specific. Vacuum the sides, then use a quality interior detailer on the surface, then put some quality leather cleaner, lightly applied, and be careful of the metal tabs at the end. Now moving on to the double seat back. With the way the seat belt comes out, you want to rest the actual buckle on top of the seat. These seat backs are in pretty good condition for 16 years old and 10 owners. I have cleaned them and conditioned them. You can see I've changed the orientation of the seat for this shot, but those wires are okay like that, but in the long term something might happen to them, so don't store them like this. Now this center armrest here is not fully in on mine. The ski pass bag is just very hard to fit back inside of the actual box. So as you can see there, the ski bag is very messy. I've tried to put it back in a couple times nicely, but then the one in the back pops out and the one in the front, and it's quite annoying to fold back into place. Here we have the center armrest. Leather's in good condition. Got the first aid kit, which I'll show you. And we have the Doug DeMuro cup holders in good condition. So this is the original first aid kit. There's just some gauze left in it. Somebody's used some of it. The nicest thing on the back though is the precision stitching and sizing, which matches exactly the shape inside of the cubby hole here. So for anyone that wanted to see the ski pass bag, it's kind of like that, and it has its own little buckle too. Let's move on to the main seat bottom there. So you can see here, these are in relatively good condition. The main thing I'm gonna say is inside seams like this, whether you're using a thin brush or anything, hit it with a little bit of interior detailer before you brush out the dirt and grime that's in there. It was pretty dirty in there for me, so it won't damage your vacuum cleaner to pull up just a little bit of interior detailer with the stuff that's inside there. But also you don't want to brush in here too hard, because I did get a few small chunks of surface leather that came out because there was dried leather inside there. So really pay attention when you're cleaning these main seams. Now with the 10 owner car, there's definitely been people who have actually used these rear seats, and you can see this scratch here is probably from some light object that has been tread across the leather. So this soft leather, don't put anything in the back seats, be careful with it. This stuff is all pretty good. Now, here also, this has been like this since the day I bought the car. It's almost as if the surface part of the leather has peeled off in this section. More proof that you should regularly clean and condition these seats, and don't put odd objects on these seats to keep them in good shape. Another place that you want to make sure to clean while you have the seats out is these pockets. Okay, the leather folds up in here and it gets quite dry. So cleaning those and conditioning them is quite important for them not to crack and tear. You can see another one of those scratch blemishes there. And the last blemish would be this one here once the light's back on it. Other than that, these are pretty good. Moving on to the back, one of my favorite things that they've done here is go look at it on your own car, but this material here, it's all like a Line-X. So even though it's really thin metal, it's not going to rust. See right there? You can maybe see that bed liner style material there a bit better. Again, with your storage, you want to be careful because you have heated seat elements and wiring on the back portion. One more point I wanted to specify that you be careful with. Here, I'll zoom out so you can see where I'm looking at. Now, what is this stuff on my car? A little bit more here. The black marks underneath the seat bottom are not mold. What they are is this black wire loom here on the outside rubbing against the foam. That's what causes that black discoloration. This is on both sides. Here's that wire loom on the other side. The rest of the foam all looks pretty good. Again, in this section here, you can see some odd discoloration. That discoloration is due to rubbing against that plastic tab where those retainers go into. There's nothing really specific about this single seat back. This one is in very good condition. There are no scratches or blemishes on it. Again, headrest slightly out so that you can get air to all sections of the conditioned leather. Alright, so now we're looking at this piece, which in the seat removal video, some of you will remember I broke some of the tabs on the inside. But when you're cleaning it, the main thing is this ridge here, okay, that the light is going on. That one picks up a lot of dirt. That was really dirty on this one. Other than that, just clean it up and avoid breaking any of the tabs. You can see those clips that are inside there. 2 of them are missing. You'll see those breaking off in the seat removal video. So be as careful as you can with those, but they might just break on you because this stuff is not the highest quality. Overall, these are very high quality leather seats, but something high quality also requires high quality care. So take care of your RS4s so that these things are going to be on the road in nice shape for many years to come.